Welcome back to another episode of the Soulful Prosperity Podcast, where we align with for well-being. Today we got another episode. Today another solo podcast. Next week we got special guests. Next week got some things popping up. Got Double the Alchemist Dailies dropping tomorrow Monday, and today we're gonna drop this podcast on Sunday. But let's go ahead and get into some news, man. Shit, man, that nigga Trump been on one for first. He didn't bomb Nigeria. Now he's bombing Venezuela. It actually captured their Maduro. Let's actually get into that news. I don't know if he's the president or what he was actually. I think he's pretty sure he's the president though. Let's get into that.
The country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious because that's what we're all about. We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela. And that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind. We've had decades of that. So we're going to stay until such time as we're going to run it, essentially, until such time as a proper transition can take place.
Yeah, that's that was wild though. That was wild as fuck. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, boy. That shit wild. But one day I can't say that boy Trump on some gangster time, but when they kidnapped the president and his wife, sent that nigga to New York. It's a video of him coming to New York. The president throwing peace signs up. Y'all seen the videos of Maduro? I'm not sure if he actually is the president. Let's look that up actually. Yeah, he is the president of Venezuela. Well, probably not no more shit. But they said he was a dictatorship. A lot of shit I see in the comments. A few Venezuelans were happy, but you know that could be the propaganda in America. So you really never know. I want to dig a little deeper into that. But I heard a little something about the oil that they wanted oil and to watch out for some stocks that's going to go up as well. But when I was looking at a stock person I listened to, Eric started investments. I saw this video on there, bro. This shit was interesting. It was in this movie, TV show Jack Ryan.
What would you assume is the most major threat on the world stage? Anybody, just call it out. You don't have to raise your hand.
Definitely Russia.
Definitely Russia. That's confident. I like it. Who says Russia? Anybody agree with her? Hands? Okay. Great. Who else?
China.
Stop yelling at me, but China is a good answer. Anybody? Who else? China?
North Korea.
North Korea. Any North Korea takers? And Venezuela? Anybody? No? Oh, yeah. One guy in the back. A little worried about Venezuela. Everybody's cool with Venezuela? No threat? Okay. Let me ask you this. Which one of these places can claim to have the largest oil deposit on the planet? More than Saudi? More than Iran? Wow. Okay. What about things like gold? More than all the mines in Africa combined? The fact is that Venezuela is arguably the single greatest resource of oil and minerals on the planet. So, why is this country in the midst of one of the greatest humanitarian crises in modern history? Let's meet President Nicolas Reyes. After rising to power on a wave of nationalist pride, in a mere 6 years, this guy has crippled the national economy by half. He has raised the poverty rate by almost 400%. Luckily for the rest of us, he's up for re-election. So, who's running against him? This is Gloria Bonalde. Now, Gloria is a history professor turned activist. She's running against him on a social justice platform and on the strength of, in my humble opinion, just not being an asshole. Analyst predictions, as of today, have the chances of Venezuela's total economic collapse at 87%. On the news, they'll call it a crisis. But on the world stage, they'll call it a failed state. If you've never heard that term, other examples of a failed state in recent history are Yemen, Iraq, and Syria. And if that's not bad enough news for you, well, Venezuela is also the only one of these places with within 30-minute range from the U.S. of next-gen nuclear missiles. You will not hear about any of this on the news because the biggest players on the world stage do not want you to. To them, unstable governments are nothing more than the greatest of opportunities. So, Russia, China, can never be the most major threat until countries like Venezuela leave the door open to our very own backyard.
My bad. But that's interesting, bro. Like, they speaking on how the oil, they have a lot of oil, bro. Trump actually said they're going to send major U.S. oil firms to rebuild and operate Venezuela's damaged oil infrastructure, which that means they'll probably bring, a lot of, that's why I was really just thinking about stocks, bro. Like, or a lot of people think about, would that bring the gas down? Niggas think about gas and shit. Damn, that means so effectively bringing Venezuelan oil assets under U.S. supervision for now. That was crazy, bro. But they actually talked about how Venezuela could also be able to open the door for China or Russia to take home there or to create an alliance there. They could attack us from there. You know what I'm saying? That's a crazy thing as well. So if you America, you down there have to do that to prevent that, especially with how they said with a government that's not really in order. You know what I'm saying? They'll do some shit like that, or there's not really that has this shit in control. But we never know how Venezuela really was going, as the person that didn't live there. I think that's very, very, I couldn't speak too deep on that as I want to, bro. But I think that shit crazy though, how a lot of these places have been ruined by the United States, bro. They said Yemen, Syria, what else they said some couple different places, but that shit's actually crazy to me, bro. Like, you've been seeing this shit bleed up, bro. He actually was saying he don't want war, bro. He made a little dance, the song Maduro. I don't know if that shit was they trying to make him a hero in United States. You know how the politics go, bro. It's like so much propaganda going on. So you have to really do your research and not really take a side with anything. You have to choose peace at the end of the day, bro. Trump ass wilding out here, nigga ass sending them bombs, bombing shit. Nigga not playing with these boys, bro. But he say he coming in. Niggas talking about no war, but we got hella shit going on, bro. But let's get into some lighter shit, bro. We get into some lighter shit. Like, they said that the 83rd Golden Globes will introduce a podcast awards, and these were the nominees. The Armchair Expert with Dex Shepard, Call Her Daddy, Good Hang with Amy Poehler, Smart List, the Mel Robbins podcast, and Up First. This is dope. The Golden Globes is scheduled for January 11, 2026, and will mark this year's first year's podcast are honored with their own category at the awards. That's what I'm saying. Like, this podcast and shit is dope. Like, this is crazy. We going into a world where these things are starting to be at these bigger awards like Golden Globes. So eventually they're gonna start being at even more award shows. Award shows. I think that shit is so deep. If you a podcaster and if you in the podcasting game and trying to grow your podcast like I'm doing myself, but that shit made me I'm telling you, just so many things coming to light. Even with the Netflix deal, I was actually watching Earn Your Leisure. They was talking about you got to start looking at your podcast as a business. You know what I'm saying? And not just as something you just doing. Because a lot of times we just doing shit. We just doing a podcast. We think we good. We talking about drama and this and that, and not thinking of the business side of it until it's too late. Until we need to think about it. What if you ahead and thinking about the business side of this shit already? You think, okay, how can I get ads? How can I do this within my business and to grow it? I think that's very, very powerful if you really were trying to elevate your podcast and get to these levels that the people are reaching. These people are getting nominated at the Golden Globes. These are like a major award shows in America. So I think that shit is very powerful. And shout out to all those nominees and the future nominees of the future. I wonder what else gonna start adding those. You know what I'm saying? Gonna start adding different podcasts into the award shows, bro. Let's get into some more crazy news though, bro. A black college athlete shot by police after disarming gunman set to receive $8 million. A black college football player who was shot by police seconds after disarming a gunman inside a taco shop in San Jose is set to receive an $8 million settlement. The Jose City Council is expected to approve the settlement as its January 13th meeting after the court denied qualified immunity to the officer who opened fire against the college student, Keon Green. The shooting unfolded on March 27, 2022 at La Victoria Taqueria in downtown San Jose. I don't know how to say Taqueria right. Green, then 20, was punched by an intoxicated man. A struggle ensued between the two before another man pulled a gun and pointed it at Green and the other customers. Green wrestled the gun away and backed out of the restaurant and over there to signal he was not there. Most ballers arrived, seen, shot, and dropped the gun. Surveillance video showed dropping the weapon and raising his hands. However, within seconds, Officer Mark fired 5 shots, striking Green 4 times. Green suffered serious injury to his arm, knee, and abdomen, and had part of his intestine removed. Damn, why the fuck he shooting 5 times? What the fuck? He striked him 4 times and shot 5 after he dropped the gun. What the fuck? These niggas need to get some fucking training. Damn, I have to read that shit again. Like, what the fuck? Oh my god. So this nigga shot him. He shot 5 times, missing 1, and striked him 4. He had to get intestines removed, all type of shit. Yeah, that nigga deserve amen, bro. These niggas be tripping. Policemen need to really work on what the fuck they doing. We need to have stricter, bro. Like, what the fuck was that shit? That's just horrible, man. Prayers up to that man. Hope the healing journey is okay. I know the healing journey way more than just getting the money. I know that shit is a big plus, but he had to go through a lot just to get that, bro. You see, you get $8 million for a reason, bro. And you need to fucking work with these fucking police officers, bro. I'm not the person to say defund the police. I would never say some dumb shit like that. But I'll say we need to really get these police in order, bro. Really having some real training, bro. Training for everything, bro. Cause there's some way worse shit going on out here right now, and them niggas not solving that shit. But he just shot an innocent person. They just resolved something very important. So that shit's very crazy, bro. That shit, it make you sick. Let's get into this Stephon Diggs accusation though, bro. This shit was crazy too. Stephon Diggs wilding out here, boy.
New England Patriots wide receiver Stephon Diggs is in trouble with the law tonight. Aaron Parsegan of CBS News Boston has the details.
Quick toss. Catch made. Diggs has a touchdown.
Tonight, Stephon Diggs facing accusations that could land him in prison. The Patriots' standout $69 million wide receiver has been instrumental in the team's turnaround success this year and has been called one of the greatest free agent signings in Patriots history. Diggs is now facing charges of felony strangulation or suffocation and misdemeanor assault and battery. This stems from an incident on December 2nd. In newly released court documents, a woman who worked as Diggs' private chef says during an ongoing text exchange about money owed, Diggs became angry and smacked her across the face. She says Diggs then tried to choke her using the crook of his elbow around her neck and held her until she felt like she could have blacked out.
What do you think these allegations and charges do to this team that has such high hopes entering the playoffs?
Man, that's deep. That's deep. Stephon Diggs, if that shit's true, bro, what the fuck are you doing, bro? Like, over a payment that she deserves. It's crazy. There's always more to the story, though. I'm going to play Stephon Diggs' side as well real quick, bro. Let's get into that shit. But strangulation, doing that shit is wild, bro. It's not a good look. That shit's true. That's not a good look in general, bro. What the fuck going on?
Sorry I wasn't available for those couple of days. You know, it's a different kind of time, but dealing with everything, it's definitely an open case, so I can't even say anything about it. I will be open to any football questions, anything you want to know.
How do you guys guard against distractions?
It's kind of been a thing throughout the year. You know, we all deal with life stuff, you know, family stuff, it's the worldly stuff. It's just, you know, being a football team is hard. You band together, you lean on your brothers, you lean on your people that you spend the most time with. For me, you know, I've been dealing with shit my whole life, you know, nothing new to me. So, you know, I just got to roll with the punches, try to stay as positive as I can. And, you know, it's definitely something you always got to adjust to, but I'm built for whatever. Sorry I wasn't available for those couple of days.
Hey, shout out to him to address the media, bro, to kind of talk about it. He really can't talk about it too much, right? That's what he had to say about the little situation, bro. I think that shit crazy. Stephon Diggs, if this shit ain't true, it's just accusation. This is wild accusation. Praise up to both parties, bro. Because if he did do this, bro, I hope she's okay and gets the rightful show. But it's one of them topics like, damn, fool, what the fuck are we doing, fool? If it's true, what the fuck are we doing, bro? We gotta be better as people. We gotta be better. Let's just skip past that shit. That shit's crazy. Let's tap into the Leon DiCaprio. He talked about the movie theaters could become niche. Let's actually tap into that shit. How that shit, like, a lot of people think like this shit going to streaming platforms and things like that. Let's tap into it.
One battle after another in this division, not out of nostalgia, but out of a belief in scale and texture, and in the idea that movies are still meant to be experienced together in a theater. Right now, that belief matters more than ever. Original films are harder to make and harder to protect, but movies still matter. Not content, but cinema. Stories made by people meant to be shared in a dark room in a communal experience.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie, I think that shit's true though. I think we still need to have that power of cinema, bro, and power of how celebrity and how actors was. I think at the same time, I think it's a death of the old celebrity and how shit was how it was. But it's like it's a few celebrities that are like really, really mysterious, bro. Jay-Z, he's one of the mysterious ones. Beyonce, you barely see those type of celebrities. Like, they were talking, I was watching the video talking about like how celebrities used to be mysterious as hell. You barely see them, bro. Like, you had to really like make your assumptions on what the fuck they doing. Like, you didn't know who their kids was. None of that shit. Like, they was really creating them. I think that shit was fire as hell. But another thing I want to talk about, bro, is the Dave Chappelle, bro, Netflix special. I watched that shit, bro. That shit was good. I liked it. He talked about a lot, bro. He started it off, bro. First, let's talk about how they dropped this shit after just a surprise, setting the tone. It was unexpected. You know what I'm saying? And it was a bold as fuck. Nigga really was on like early on some talk out there, bro. It was after the Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight. Joshua knocked him out. Central thing. It was really about power, free speech, and controversy. He really just tapped into some things, embraced it, and he kind of like just talked about like society for real. You know what I'm saying? And talked about how culture treats powerful black figures. He talked about Jack Johnson to start it off. He tells the historical arc of Jack Johnson, the first black heavyweight champion, celebrated at first, but later prosecuted and vilified. Chappelle uses the narrative as the backbone for much of his commentary. Like, he talks about how Jack Johnson fight, they got mad because he beat up that white guy. They was trying to find the toughest white guy to beat Jack Johnson up, but they couldn't. He beat him up, and like he was just too strong, bro. And then he started talking about Diddy for the Diddy shit before he said, it's like how I ain't gonna lie, the Diddy shit, I'm sorry, bro. I did make some video about Diddy, but bro, we can't kick Diddy what he does. I think that shit is true, bro. That shit is true. But it's shit crazy. His son's actually making a documentary with Zeus to tell their part of the story. And part of the trailer, it ended with a call from Diddy from Fort Dix. So that'll be actually interesting. But he actually made a joke about Dave Chappelle made a joke about he could have had sex with he could. This was his turn to have sex with Cassie for like at Diddy house or some shit. He didn't know it was his turn. I mean, just make a good joke. And he talk about Israel. I like how he talked about Israel and the Western media and the double standards. He called out like the media bias, contrasting how conflicts and deaths are covered in places like Gaza versus how his own actions are judged in the U.S. Like, they were talking about like somebody in Saudi Arabia, like a journalist got killed or some shit, or like they weren't able to speak the truth, and he was like, bro, do the same shit in Israel, but we support them and sending billions to them. I was like, that shit is so true. Like, we get so mad at one thing, but we supporting this. We can't pick and choose. If you're gonna stand on the stand order, or there's no reason to trip, because it's crazy shit going out here that's out of our control. He also talked about Saudi Arabia gig and free speech. Chappelle, he started defending like his performing in Saudi Arabia. You know how that shit was it was on the internet, the trend of like people just really trying to take down the comedians that went to Saudi Arabia, and says he'd take that paycheck any day, using it to highlight cultural difference and sensitivity and double standards on joke boundaries. Like he was really talking about how he could talk about he had like a lot of transgender jokes. He could talk about those things over there because it was like you can't do that shit over there in Saudi Arabia. And he was like just talking about he could be free. He felt more free in Saudi Arabia. And he just had a critique of cancel culture a lot. And that shit was funny, bro. He said he was like he had like really talked about why people are quick to cancel comedians, including him. He challenged the notion that comedy should be policed by outrage mobs, especially in the U.S., while questioning who gets to set the limits. That shit was funny as hell. But that shit was dope, bro. It was really good how they played that shit out, bro. How they put that shit together, all that shit was pretty dope. I like how they did that shit, bro. Dave Chappelle, one that one's legend. Shout out to him, bro. But let's get into a little bit less tragic news, but more tragic news. And some Anthony Joshua crash and him driving. His driver is actually facing charges, bro. It was some shit. They were like that his driver or some shit, like didn't have a license. Let's actually read this. The driver involved in a deadly car crash has been charged. Adeni Moboje Kadui. I know how to say that name. I don't know how to say that. 46 was charged with dangerous and reckless driving in southwestern Ogun State following the crash earlier this week. The vehicle carrying Joshua Senagami and lots of lots duly struck a stationary truck on the Lagos Abadan Expressway, a major highway linking Ogun State to Lagos. Igami were killed in the collision. Joshua, a two-time heavyweight champion, sustained minor injuries and was hospitalized before being discharged on Wednesday. That shit crazy, bro. No, that shit crazy. How he praise up to Anthony Joshua and to his two lost friends, bro. That shit was crazy how that shit happened. Praise up to those people. You gotta just be careful, bro. And that just shows how things could be at the high. I heard this. You could be at the highest moment. Just probably he made like that amount of money with his guys, and just like that, something can happen, bro. It's a crash, something that's not good for you can happen. I think that's just so powerful, bro. And you gotta be grateful for the moment, be grateful for the time here, bro. You can be just like that, celebrating, and then just like that, you're gone. So you gotta be grateful, bro, and just be grateful for the situation. Pray up to Anthony Joshua and his lost homies to the undead. The driver, bro, that shit's wild. I don't know if it's true if he did have a license, but if that's true, that shit's just wild. That's just wild. Let's get into this shit, bro. A pastor and former longtime leader of the KKK says he does not believe black people can be saved. Let's read this shit, bro. Let's get into this. Just let's listen to this. Actually,
there's a certain element of people that just aren't welcome. I make a joke sometimes, but it's a joke based upon, I think, a real fact. The image always showed Jesus Christ with arms outstretched, wide out, like here. But the reality of Jesus Christ is not wide arms stretched. His arms are, what he said, the pathway was straight and narrow. And so it's a straight and narrow pathway because everybody's not welcome to our church. There's a certain element of people that just aren't welcome. I make a joke sometimes, but it's a joke based upon, I think, a real fact. The image always showed Jesus Christ with arms outstretched, wide out, like here. But the reality of Jesus Christ is not wide arms stretched. His arms are, what he said, the pathway was straight and narrow.
Black man, can they be saved and then be part of the kingdom of God?
What does saved mean?
I mean, if we're going to go off of a traditional theological practice, it is understanding Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. A traditional Christian perspective, that means then you gain access to heaven.
Yeah. Well, I like the word redeemed better than saved.
Black man, can they be saved and then
There are no white people in the Bible. Thank you for that. Hey, this conversation we need. Imagine a patient leading his flag straight to the gates of hell. Who ordained him? No, that's crazy. Hey, bro. Now that's crazy, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I think that's why a lot of people run away from Christianity or like the former Christianity that they give us, because it's how a lot of people actually, it's like actually forms of Christians that actually like, or forms of people that, or forms like Christianity is so weird because there's so many different denominations and shit. It's like different denominations to believe different shit. It's certain denominations that think black people are evil. You know what I'm saying? And we don't got to call those names out, Mormons, but we don't have to look at that. We don't got to call those names out. I think that shit is actually kind of crazy though. In the reality we live in, that we still live in a reality where we're judging off of race. And if you doing that shit, it get to a point, bro. Nigga just evil. We gotta recognize that shit. And you can't get mad at people when some people really believe that all white people are evil as well. You know, so hey, shit, you gotta just let that shit go, bro. You know we gotta understand that the religion that they gave us isn't even the true form of religion. They give us an exoteric version. An exoteric version meaning a version that the masses get. Everybody can get that shit. Anybody can get that shit. The esoteric version that goes within your body and really explains the true natures of the universe and really explains this shit and really explaining that unlocking the Christ within you and that unlocking the God within you to connect with God. That's the esoteric version of religion, but we really don't get that. You know, where we in the reality we live in, we don't get that shit. So I think you just can't even care about that shit no more. Race and shit, niggas, we old as hell. You know, we grown as fuck, bro. So we in a whole different age. So if you still going off a race, you just a racist son of a bitch. Look, you a racist son of a gun. Look at that, son of a gun, saying that, nigga. That's like just what you is though. But let's get into Beyonce. Beyonce actually became a millionaire, bro. Shout out to
Beyonce is now in formation. She's officially a billionaire, according to Forbes, and she did it irreplaceably on her own terms. Her fans were drunk in love when she was on the road, shelling out more than $400 million in ticket sales to make it the world's highest grossing tour, and her music and sponsorships keeping the money flowing by taking control of her career and choosing to upgrade you from traditional management. Beyonce proves that owning your halo can help a diva build a lasting empire and maybe even run the world's empire. I had to. For Beyonce is now in formation.
I ain't gonna lie, that's really like a lesson within this shit as an entrepreneur. She didn't just sing, she studied on ownership, publishing royalties, touring leverage. She understood her voice was an asset. And this is where an artist goes to an entrepreneur. You know, a lot of time artists are just trying to be an artist, just make music. But she created multiple income streams before it was popular. She was music, touring, endorsements, film roles, early fashion and licensing deals. Y'all remember that movie with Idris Elba, bro? That's one of them movies. That's what that film, bro. That's one of them ones. Billionaires don't rely on just one income. You know what I'm saying? You don't really see Beyonce too much, bro. You really don't see her too much. Like, she one of them ones, bro. You know what I'm saying? She got a husband that's a billionaire, Jay-Z. He didn't just add money. He added financial conscience and having a man, bro. He actually said this shit in the song on 444. What's better than one billionaire? Two. And that was Beyonce line. So that shit, like, really manifestation for real, bro. And he was actually talking about, bro. He was talking about that shit on 444. He was like, bro, y'all on the ground holding money to it. There's a disconnect. We don't call that money over here. White nigga. The story of OJ on me. If you know what I'm talking about. Flashing doesn't equal wealth, you know what I'm saying? Appearances don't equal ownership. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't own shit. I bought some, and he also, just another one, like you said, I brought some artwork from 1 million, 2 years later, that shit worth 2 million. You feel me? For real though, assets over liabilities. You know what I'm saying? Money should grow while you sleep. You know, the core idea of this shit is just the rich is loud, the wealth is quiet as fuck. You'll never see them. Brand deal structure for ownership, not just for chicks. She became a product. She became the product and distributor. Like, that's some real powerful shit, bro. She tapped into different shit. She a black, feminine, powerful, wealthy, sovereign black goddess. Shout out to Beyonce, bro. Shout out to Beyonce and Jay-Z. Moving like architects and not just influencers, bro. They really showing how to build legacy businesses, you know what I'm saying, ownership and things like that, bro. Shout out to Jay-Z and to Beyonce. Beyonce another black woman billionaire. Shout out to her. And hey, that's for the culture, bro. We're gonna end it right there for the culture, man. Make sure you take care of yourself, eating the right things, loving yourself, and you can be the next billionaire, just like Beyonce and Jay-Z did. Control your mind. Everything starts within the mind. So if you don't control your mind, everything else, if you don't control your mind like everybody else control your mind, you will fail to control your reality. And I love you guys. See you on the next video. 444.